I'm Jeremy Park, CEO of cityCURRENT. Thank you for joining us this morning for our virtual tour of the modernized concourse with Memphis International Airport, $245 million project that obviously has been in the works for many, many years. No tax dollars were used. We'll talk all about what that means with Scott, the vision forward. We'll give you a chance to see this new modernized concourse firsthand with our virtual tour. As I mentioned, we went in with Glenn and he gave us a behind the scenes tour before the concourse was open. That way there weren't passengers everywhere and we could do a really good deep dive in terms of showing you everything that's going on. So you'll have a chance to see this virtual tour, be thinking about questions as you go along, and you can put them in the chat box or the Q&A. After we're done with the virtual tour, we'll come back on with Scott and we'll do a Q&A and answer all of those questions. And so we hope you enjoy it. And, thank you again for joining us, but really amazing to see what this means for us as a city, for all the travelers coming in, and obviously for us as locals being able to have this new modernized concourse. So with that, I'm going to turn my camera off, my microphone to mute, and Andrew is going to take it away with the virtual tour. So thank you, everybody. The music is off and I'm off, and let's rock and roll.
Hi, this is Glenn Thomas with Memphis International Airport. We're just a few days away from opening our brand new concourse, and we're looking forward to welcoming all of our passengers. This is a $245 million project. It's going to reinvent the Memphis travel experience. Let's take a look. One of the things that really jumps out when you enter the concourse is the space, the natural light, the added space, the more room to move. Everything is done with the modern traveler in mind. Our seating features a cup holder and chargers at every single seat. You can cordlessly charge your phone if it has those capabilities, and we have a variety of plug-ins as well. As you can see, the gate areas are spacious, plenty of room for passengers to relax, much more comfort, a lot of places where you can plug in, you can work on your laptop. One of the interesting, unique features about the airport, you'll notice the glass is tinted. We're utilizing a technology called Smart Glass. It's a local company called View, and the glass tints with the level of the sunlight. So this is going to increase comfort, keep the sunlight from being too bright. As you can see on one side of the airport right now, it's a little bit shaded, and on the other side, it's clear. It's all due to the View Smart Glass. One of the things we're most proud of in the concourse is our all-new art program. We have over 60 pieces of art. All of the artists have a Memphis connection, whether they are Memphis-based, they used to work in Memphis, or they used to live in Memphis. So we're really proud of that. You can see this mural has all different types of features of Memphis, reflection of our culture, and we have an extremely diverse group of artists and a diverse group of artwork that's going to greet our passengers. We've got 23 gates on the concourse. We believe that we can handle about 50% more traffic than we did in 2019, which of course would be a record amount of origin and destination passengers for us. This time, with the new concourse, we are utilizing common use gates. So while certain airlines will have gates assigned to them, they sometimes may not utilize that gate on a really regular basis. And so other airlines can utilize the same gate. That's going to allow us to maximize the efficiency of our gates. We did not modernize the southwest leg of the B concourse, and that is a potential future project should we grow to the point that we need additional gates. Go through the concourse, you're going to see a continual Memphis theme in our retail shops. We've got the Memphis Grizzlies have a restaurant presence here as well. We're really excited about this. This is obviously the first time Memphis Made has established a presence at an airport, so they're going to have a bar and grill here. Of course, a full lineup of their beers that are locally made. We're really excited to have Memphis reflected in that way. Each of the restroom locations, there is artwork. We've got glass work at the large restroom location. So it's another way, these restroom waiting areas, another area where we have additional space. One aspect of the airport where we are seeing a huge upgrade is in the restrooms. We wanted to upgrade the restroom experience, not only with artwork in the restroom waiting areas, but the restroom itself. Additional space, we've got stalls, a lot of room in most of our restroom areas. We have mother's nursing rooms separately as well as several family restrooms. So we think passengers are really going to see a huge improvement with the restrooms here. Of course, we have much higher ceilings than the previous airport design, but also it's in keeping with the traditional older design, the martini glass design. So it complements that, but of course it modernizes it as well. And an additional feature that we were able to install here was hearing loops for the hearing impaired. Those with hearing devices will be able to utilize those loops and hear announcements at the gate and throughout the concourse. See more artwork here on the left. And again, a lot of effort. We had assistance from the Urban Art Commission in heading up our art program. We had a committee that selected our site-specific pieces as well as the gate art. And again, we wanted to show, we want the airport to be a reflection of the culture in Memphis. And obviously, blues and barbecue is a big part of it, but it's also so much more than that. And we really believe that our art program helps show the artistic talent that we have in our city. One of the ways this is going to assist the airlines is really operational efficiency. We've got all new jet bridges. They're going to operate out of one concourse rather than being spread out across 2 or 3. And we want to make things more efficient for passengers, but also our tenants, our airlines, our restaurants, and our retail. And one way it helps restaurants or retail is, again, we're going to be operating out of one concourse, and the passenger flow is going to be directed through one area rather than being spread out. For the first time, we're going to have a children's play area here where kids can blow off a little steam before their flight. We're excited about that. Many different new retail concepts, new restaurant concepts. We're going to have additional lounges that we'll see in just a minute. When we come up to the Rotunda area, now for those who have traveled out of our previous B concourse, the Rotunda area is going to look familiar. we kept it largely intact, but we gave it a little bit of a makeover. And as you can see, we will now have a music stage. We will have live music from time to time here. And in addition, this is going to be our lounge area. We redid the art in the Rotunda. And this is really the central point of the concourse before you move down to the southeast leg. We have a couple of different retail concepts here, the Memphis Supply Company, as well as the Distillery District. Each of those is going to offer local gourmet foods, local spirits, a lot of apparel that's Memphis-based. One of the things that we're really proud about, really excited about, is for the first time we're going to have a lounge for St. Jude patients and their families. This lounge is actually going to be staffed by St. Jude, but it's going to give patients and their families a chance to relax, get out of the hustle and bustle of the normal airport activity, give them a potential point of contact when they arrive. This will not be open when we open on Tuesday, but we will have a separate event to celebrate the opening of the lounge soon after. We also have a military lounge that'll be open to active and retired military personnel. We do have military lounges on the existing concourses, but of course this is going to be at a higher level of service with additional amenities. We'll be installing some art. We had some art donations of military aircraft photos, and so we're in the process of finalizing that and installing those. You'll see a number of restaurants that I'm introducing along the way, but later this year we will have a second phase of restaurant openings. So there will be additional food options added as time goes on. And work is going to be ongoing on those additional restaurant options. Passengers won't see that. It's going to go on behind the wall. And when it's ready, then we'll just remove that wall and you'll have some additional restaurants. On my left, you can see Lenny's is moving its operations over here to this concourse. And the managers of Lenny's are also going to operate stage left, which is adjacent. And again, you can see the continual Memphis entertainment theme throughout the airport with the branding of both the retail and the restaurants. We have a pet relief area right after. There's actually some pretty good visuals with this. We're just outside the Rotunda here. Obviously, a lot of people have service animals. We also have several canine units here at the airport, so this gives animals a chance to do their business in the airport without making a mess. So we've got a business center here to my right. Will allow people to get some work done. There'll be multiple charging stations, areas to put laptops, There's a conference room that can be rented out for business meetings as well. And here we're approaching the southeast leg of the concourse. Again, for those who traveled through here before in this part of the concourse, it was a little over 50 feet wide. Now it's over 100 feet wide. So we've essentially doubled the space for our passengers. One of the things that the previous concourse lacked was moving walkways. So we've got moving walkways throughout the new concourse to speed up the process, make things a little bit more convenient for some of our passengers. You can see on our left, we're approaching the Grizz Grill. Memphis Grizzlies have a presence here. This will be a restaurant with sandwiches, barbecue, appetizers, sports bar concept, really neat design, showcasing our local NBA team. As we approach the end of the concourse, one of the cornerstones of our art program is this hanging sculpture done by Yancey Calvo. Obviously, this was probably the most work-intensive installation of all of our art pieces, but it really is a spectacular piece, very colorful, and really stands out at night with the reflection. So if you fly in at night on this end of the concourse, you're really gonna see those colors pop out as you pull up to the gate. One thing that you also see throughout the airport is additional seating areas. So to my left here and all through this central part of the concourse, you see these additional seats. These also have cordless charging and additional outlets for people to charge or if they want to sit and eat. So there's a lot of places where whether you're at the gate or you want to get away from the gate, that you can sit, charge your phone, relax, eat food. Everything is about space and convenience and efficiency. Thank you for joining us on this behind the scenes tour. We're really looking forward to welcoming all of our passengers. This project has been years in the making, lots of hard work involved, and we can't wait to welcome everybody. If you need more information, you want to see more highlights, photos, etc. of the new concourse, go to flymemphis.com.
concourse is now open. So there you go. Thank you, Glenn, for that behind the scenes tour. It was so much fun to be able to see it all and see it come to life. And as I mentioned, when you see the video and then you realize this thing is, it's huge, it's wide open, it's spacious, but it really is something that we can all be extremely proud of. So welcome everybody. Scott Brockman, President and CEO, Memphis Shelby County Airport Authority, obviously Memphis International Airport. And so Scott is gracious to join us online and to answer questions. We already have quite a few coming in. And so before we dive into the questions, Scott, give us a little bit of background, because one of them was talking about the architect and, you know, some of the basic pieces of it, but give us a little bit of just the history of this in terms of how long it's taken to pull together, you know, talk about some of the context leading up to this modernization.
Thank you, Jeremy. You know, actually, this project started probably 2.5 years before we actually broke ground on the concourse itself. And the original concept was to maintain the old facility, but to make it a little bit larger and add areas of higher ceilings. And we went through a process to look at that. And because the facilities are not seismically compliant, they were built in an era when seismic considerations were not a part of building codes. We were going to spend a lot of money in improvements underground in order to shore up the facility and create a seismic environment that was safe. And about 2 years into that, we decided to about face. Urban Arc, who is a local Memphis company, was the primary architect and engineer in partnership with a company out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, Alliance. And Alliance was involved in the design of the Rotunda back in 2004 when we opened it. So they were familiar with Memphis. And they came in and said, well, you know, there is a way to create a whole new environment while still making it seismic and making it affordable. And that's where the concept of building around the existing footprint came into play. And so this process has really been extremely long for staff, not as long for the general public, because you don't have all that inside information. So I think that the change in direction that occurred you know, probably about 4.5 years ago to design what you see today was really the smartest move. And the money that was spent was really spent more in those amenities and in that space that passengers will touch, feel, experience. And you end up with a much more grandeur of a concourse, much bigger, much larger, much better lines of sight than we ever had before.
We mentioned at the onset, $245 million, no tax dollars being used. Talk about the funding for this project.
Well, yes, and we get no local tax dollars for anything, for operating, for capital. There was a whole mix of funding that came into this project. We have what's referred to in the aviation business as a passenger facility charge. There is a charge on every ticket for $4.50. And we put that charge in place. We did not have it prior to the funding of this concourse. And we put it in place to accumulate funds to pay towards this facility as what we refer to as pay-go. We didn't have to issue debt. We received some federal funds, mainly for the Jet Bridge program. And then the rest of the project was really funded, a little bit of state equity fund, which is generated by fuel taxes. Most of it was funded by debt, and that the payments on this, like your home mortgage, we have to make payments on that debt, and it's funded by the rates and charges that we charge within the airport. That $245 million included a number of what we called enabling projects. In order to close the old B concourse, we had to move all the airlines off that concourse, and we had to make improvements to A and C to allow those airlines to set up on A and C. And if you recall, we added gates, gate 17, gate 19 at the end of the A concourse to allow for more gates for Delta to operate, and we had to spend money. So that included the entire project, which included the enabling projects. I think the concourse itself was probably somewhere in the range of about 170 million. when you do the airline op space as well as the concourse. And then the rest of the projects were really behind the scenes, electrification, upgrading of utilities, things like that. So very extensive project that took a lot of forethought, a lot of thinking, a lot of planning.
I know that one of the biggest shifts obviously has been the move to an origin and destination airport, where so much of it now is locals using the airport versus them coming through as a layover. And that's precipitated a lot of this. Talk about what all of this means for future business airline recruitment.
Well, in June of 2013, it's not a secret that Delta dehubbed Memphis, and we had to reinvent ourselves. And that's really what this is all about, is a reinvention of Memphis International Airport. And we had to reinvent ourselves as a origin and destination as opposed to a transfer airport. And as a part of this concourse, we are transitioning to what is called a common use gate system. And the reason why we're doing that is because we can operate much more efficiently. In the old hub days, the average number of airplane operations per gate was about 2.8 per day, less than 3 turns per day per gate. Under the new operation, obviously, with a common use system, any airline can log into any gate agent position. Their logos come up, their information comes up, and they can operate on that gate. While we have nested areas, American will operate primarily on 2, 4, and 6 as their kind of assigned home base. Southwest will operate on 5 and 7. Delta will operate on 12, 14, 16, and 18, so on and so forth. But any gate in the concourse can be used for any airline as long as it is open and available. Part of that process was for us to take over the gate management. And so we have our operations duty managers, our operations division, and they now run the gate management system. And so airlines, if they have a diversion or they have a flight coming in and it's not already assigned a gate, they have to communicate with operations and they get assigned a gate. The part of this for the passenger is you may depart from gate 2 and come back at gate 20. Okay, but it operates, it gives us the operational efficiency, which will allow us to get much more throughput in the concourse, allow us to do other things before we have to build the west leg of the concourse. It allows us to utilize our capital dollars, which we have to generate ourselves, in a much more efficient way. So yes, total transformation of the airport from an operating standpoint.
We're seeing a lot of other questions, and I know Robin was talking about too live music. I saw Kirk Whalum has already performed there, and so yeah. There's so many new ways to be able to use the airport. Give us some of your favorite pieces when you talk about the stage, the business area, obviously the St. Jude area for the patients. What are some of your personal favorite new elements?
Well, I think one of my favorite new elements was one that was really kind of a risk when we did it. And that was really the St. Jude patient lounge area. We put that space into the design before we ever had a meeting with St. Jude and talked to them about operating a patient's lounge. And we viewed it as the right thing to do because of the impact and the prominence that Memphis has because of St. Jude and what it brings to the world from a standpoint of taking care of children. And I've always been passionate. I volunteer at the tournament, and it's just been a great program. So we put the space in, and it wasn't until we were probably a year into construction that we went to St. Jude and said, hey, we got this space. Now, we could have used the space for something else, but we went to St. Jude and said, we got this space. Would you partner with us and work with us to run a lounge? And they embraced it and ran with it. And we're going to have a ribbon cutting with St. Jude in a week or so, and bring that benefit to the community. So that to me is one of those things where you just in your gut know that things will happen, and it came out perfectly. I think the big thing to me as someone who has spent 37 years in airport management and travels extensively, is one of the frustrations of the old concourses was especially the B concourse, was the lack of line of sight, was not being able to really see multiple gates at one time, or to see where the flow was going as you traverse the airport. And the beauty of the new concourse is that even though there are things that are in the facility, you have to have restrooms, you have to have gift shops and restaurants and amenities. The lines of sight are phenomenal, and you can always see your gate from where you are, and that's important for people that don't travel much, because they don't like to venture far from their gate. The other piece is that every one of the restaurants and gift shops is an open flow concept. In the partnership with our concessionaires, they said, you know what? In order to provide a positively memorable travel experience, we've got to be able to give passengers the ability to flow in and out and into the gate areas without walls to restrict them. And so they did that. And I think the delivery of that program will really provide tremendous benefit to not only the concessionaires, but also the travelers.
Let's stay on the concessionaires, because we had a chance to see Memphis Made and what that brings to the table, even with the local brews. And then you've got obviously the Grizz Grill, which is really cool. And you have the Distillery District, but you recently announced too, and you have Lenny's, you have, obviously those pieces already in play, but you announced too, some new additions coming soon. Tease us a little bit on what's coming up.
Well, when we, at the time when the contracts were being let by the concessionaires to build out the space, we were still mired in a much lower level of recovery in COVID. And so we were about 50% of the passengers we had pre-COVID. And so the program with the concessionaires was developed on a tiered approach. And so phase one is what you see today. Phase two is triggered by an 80% recovery. Now, we've been above 80% since for a little while now, but they had already let the contracts for phase one. And so what you will see is a three-phased approach to the development of the restaurants. Phase one is open today. Phase two will include Chili's and the Chick-fil-A. Phase three will also include at the entrance to the concourse, a coffee type donut shop, a breakfast food area. And then at the very end of the concourse, down in where the window wall looks out at the airfield, there will be a sandwich and lounge area, bar and lounge at the end. And so we've got, I think four new food concessionaires. The gift shop operation has pretty much built out their entire facility. Not all of them are open today, not all of them are visible, but they went ahead and invested the money to get those ready to open when passenger demand warrants. And so it's a tiered approach. I think it was a smart approach. And no one knew how quickly recovery was going to come. Now that it's here, we're at about 90%. We've obviously got to pick up the pace in getting these developed. And so I think Chick-fil-A is scheduled to open in August. Chili's is scheduled to open in December. They're already working on the donut coffee concept to get it designed. And then we will start to turn on the last piece, which is the gate 21, 23, the bar sandwich shop area.
Yeah, so Eric, yes, he did say Chick-fil-A, and August is the basic timing. So I love it. We have someone ask, I know there are lounges for St. Jude, obviously in the military. Are there any plans to have more airline lounges or non-airline lounges like an American Express lounge as well?
Well, we have talks constantly. Obviously, we have the Delta Sky Club, which is on the connector between B and C, and Delta is going to maintain that club there. We have had conversations with other airlines about clubs. American is our largest carrier now, and about an Admirals Club. We have had conversations with the common use clubs. We do have a space reserved on the west side of the Rotunda for an additional club, and they look for about 8,000 square feet. to build those out. A lot of so as we do future development, we will look to continue to that dialogue to add either an airline club, an American club, or a common use club. And as we look to build out the west leg, clearly we can always go up for a second level club. That's not unusual. A lot of airports have elevated clubs with stairs and elevators to get to them. And so all we need is an airline or an entity to say we're ready to sign a contract and operate, and we will move forward with trying to develop that. The courtship of an airline club is long and arduous. So we will continue to work on it. It's like air service. It takes a lot of time. It's not as easy as everyone thinks it is. They think if you just ask, it'll occur, and that's not how it works. But we continue to work on it. It's a good question, and we're focused on it, and we'll keep working on it.
I like the fact that you mentioned too that you can go up. I mean, I didn't even think about what that means in terms of new opportunities as well. Carry that forward into some of the future plans, because as I mentioned kind of as a teaser in the opening, this is a huge piece, obviously, and a huge step forward for our whole city, but it's a piece of a larger vision, a larger equation. So talk about some of the things that are next.
Well, in January of this year, our board approved the first step of our new master plan processes. And airports go through master plans to really look at development needs based upon activity for the next 20 years. And so we are in the final steps of that process of that master plan, but it will dictate really how we develop in the future and where we develop in the future. I think that you will see some fairly rapidly some improvements. Our next focus will obviously be on the ticketing lobby and the baggage claim. With the amount of activity, we've shifted. There weren't many people in the ticketing lobbies when 80% of your passengers were transferring from one plane to another. So that ticketing lobby was perfectly fine in that environment. With 100% origin and destination, everyone interacts with ticketing and baggage claim. So our next step will be to expand, to do the same thing in the ticketing lobby that we did in the concourse. Improve lines of sight, improve the space, enlarge the space, improve natural light. We're going to focus on moving the vertical transportation systems, the escalators and the stairs out of the middle of the ticket lobby, move those to the front of the building. I envision the front of the building getting moved to the north, out over part of the roadway system, that entire front of the building being glass, a lot of natural light, lines of sight across the entire ticketing counter, all three lobbies, A, B, and C, being able to see, removing all of those impediments in that ticketing lobby, being able to enhance our touch-free check-in system, ticketing, baggage claim, where someone can print their own bag tag, and do all of that out of the lines at the ticket counter, and then just have to drop those off as they move to security. Those that have been stuck in a long line at 6 in the morning at the security checkpoint, we are going to expand that in the long term. And so the next step, I think, will be to turn our attention to modernizing the ticketing lobby and baggage claim. But we have more than that on the future plan. We envision replacing the A concourse potentially with the rental car ready return area, where it's connected directly to the terminal. You rent a car, you're going to walk right out of the enclosed terminal into the enclosed rental car garage, pick up your car, and leave the airport. And when you return, you will get out of your car undercover and walk directly into the building. What does that do? Well, it also then returns the first 2 floors of the economy garage to our public parking availability. So we gain 2,000 spaces for public parking immediately. The last piece, and none of our facilities 15 years ago were seismic, and really the last 2 pieces now are the terminal proper, ticketing and baggage claim, and the 3-story garage right in front of the terminal. Those are the last 2 pieces that we have to upgrade seismically. And so I think that will be a point of focus to make sure that those facilities get upgraded, become seismic compliant, and really then contribute positively to the look, the feel that we're trying to deliver. And that is that stage has been set by the concourse. That is now the benchmark. Everything after this has to match the grandeur and beauty of that. And I think that's not a bad benchmark to have.
Yeah, and I was going to say too is by having the modernized concourse, everything that you're talking about as you're kind of illustrating it, you can see it. So now that it's come to fruition here, it's like, oh wow, yeah, I can totally envision exactly what you're talking about. And to your point, making it all match up. But I think that's, to me, wildly exciting for what it means for our future. Touch on the parking. Robin has kind of mentioned too, and I want to go back to a comment that she made. Yeah, I love bragging about our $6 a day parking to my colleagues in other states. That was a genius project. And as you're talking about getting back some of those parking spaces by moving those spaces, 2,000 $6 a day parking spaces, talk a little bit about just the parking and the $6 a day parking and what that means to Memphis International Airport as a real advantage. And you can even, obviously highlight MemPerks too.
Well, we love our frequent Parker program and hope that everyone on this call has their MemPerks card and use it regularly. No, I mean, one of the challenges is space management, and parking is one of those space intensive things that you have to have. And when we opened the economy garage, there were people that said we were the dumbest airport managers in the world, because why would you need a parking garage? Well, because we were being dehubbed and local passengers need to park. And it's been a wildly popular and effective program, but we are out of parking spaces again. And for anyone that has tried to, especially during holidays, spring break, Thanksgiving, fall break, Christmas, it is challenging. We open overflow lots that aren't necessarily convenient and don't really provide the positively memorable experience we want. And so as part of the master plan, we have designed areas where we can improve parking within a close footprint of the terminal. And that's the whole idea, is to make the transition from parking to the facility as efficient, as effective, and pleasant as possible. So we have future garages in that master plan. But the first step would be to capture the spaces in the economy garage with the opening of a new rental car, and then look at modernizing the 3-story garage at a point in the future, which then will take care of all of the facilities on the property will be seismically compliant and modernized and beautiful.
Yeah. Alfred asks, Scott, how do you foresee Ford's Blue Oval project having an impact on MEM Airlines? I think this is something you actually kind of talked about at the grand opening, was that this modernized project was actually a big part of their choosing this area.
Sorry, I need to take a drink. Yeah, and we have worked with obviously the various chambers of commerce, various individuals on the projections of the development plan of the Blue Oval and how that will affect air service. And shortly after the announcement and the ribbon cutting on the Blue Oval, we were holding meetings with airlines, because obviously there are natural evolutions of the flow of people into Memphis. And we believe that not only corporate demand, but also Detroit, which is where Ford is based. Detroit was always one of our large markets. It is probably one of our largest drive markets, and we'd like to change that. We'd like to give people the convenience of a 2-hour flight to Memphis instead of a 10-hour drive or a 9-hour drive. And so we're working with airlines today. As I said earlier, air service development is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a long building of relationships before a flight is ever announced. And so we've got things in the works, and Blue Oval will bring additional air service to Memphis just because of the reach that project will have. Not just the automaker reach, but all of the battery and the technology and the electrification things that will occur in the Blue Oval are going to provide opportunities for us. And that's the value of the partnerships that we have. We have a great partnership with Memphis, with the Greater Memphis Chamber. We have great partnerships with tourism and the regional chambers. They're part of our air service committee, and we're constantly talking and collaborating of what we need to do to prepare. That's the predictable part of our future that we can capitalize on.
Make sure if you have any other questions, go ahead and put them in the chat or the Q&A. Spring break is right around the corner, so obviously there's going to be a large amount of people traveling. And give us, Scott, some of the things that for us as travelers and parents bringing the kids, what are some of the things that we need to know in terms of parking, getting there early? Like, what are the things that we need to know?
Well, I'm going to be a little self-serving here. I'm going to tell you that I would love for you to come to the airport a couple hours early. There's several reasons for that. One is if you are flying early in the morning, that is our biggest travel part of our day, and it is very congested at times, and you may have to wait. If you are lucky enough to get through the process early, I'm going to encourage you to take a little time, even if you just ride on the moving walkways, and visit the entire facility. One of the challenges, if someone's flying on American, they may never get to enjoy the artwork and the amenities on the East Leg. And I'm going to invite you to go ahead and come early and visit the entire facility. And if you are flying out of the East Leg, have a nice casual walk and enjoy the amenities and the artwork and the beauty all the way down the concourse in a relaxed way. We would love for you to do that. Please check your bags before you come to the airport, your carry-ons. Make sure you don't have any prohibited items. One of my biggest frustrations is people that still show up at the checkpoint and have a weapon in their bag and they forget it's there. Well, if the first step of travel is to check your carry-on and make sure there's no prohibited items, then we don't have to have that disruption in the process at the checkpoint. So please check your bags and make sure. And if you have any questions, look at the TSA website, contact your airline, do the advanced planning to make sure that you're contributing positively to your own positively memorable experience. Our goal and everyone's goal at the airport is to deliver on that promise, but we need your help to do it. And you do play a part in that as a traveler. So help us help you.
Yeah, help us help you.
And please go and visit one of the restaurants and concessionaires. We don't get tax dollars, so that helps us generate revenue so that we can continue to build for the future.
And it was really cool to, especially for those who are trying to get work done, you just set your phone down next to you and it's charging right there. And so little things like that just make it so much more convenient. And I just love it. I mean, it looks beautiful, but at the same time, it's functional as well. Even for those who are going to wash their hands, it's pretty cool. You basically,
if you're a klutz like me, Jeremy, and you got one of these huge cases on your phone, you can't charge on the arm pad. So you gotta understand the case you have if you have a case, because my case will not allow me to charge on the armrest.
But everyone has one of those USB ports or an outlet. So it's like if you don't have the version you can sit down, you can obviously still use the USB ports or everything else with your chargers. So you make it highly functional. But even on the washing your hands, you go all the way through.
Ports are there, Jeremy.
Yeah. So the other thing I was gonna say is for the washing your hands, it's all in one place. So it's like you get your soap, you get the water, and then you dry it off all in one round. You just work your way to the right. So little, little secrets in there to make it easy.
It is probably the most accessible bathrooms in America right now, because you have soap, water, and air drying and towels, and you never have to move from the location at the sink. So if you're in a wheelchair or a scooter or a walker, you don't have to walk back and forth across the bathroom to be able to do that.
Someone asks, are the ports and charging stations secure? I would imagine so. I mean, most of them are just electric to push in. I don't think they're necessarily anything on the security breach, but
no, they're just power.
Yeah, just power. Yep. Well, wrap up with just words of excitement and opportunities for the future. Just wrap up with what this means for our great city, Scott.
Well, it's 2014, we started a reinvention. Okay. We started a reinvention and basically a phoenix rising out of the ashes. There were those that said, we possibly would never recover from being dehubbed. And I think that the concourse provides a vision of what's really possible in Memphis and at the airport. It's obviously a tremendous welcome to the community. But the vision is not done. And we've got a lot of things we want to do. And all of those things are to continue to be the largest economic engine in the Mid-South, which we are with combination of cargo and passenger services. And we look forward to embracing that and continuing it in the future. And the vision is clear. We've got a lot of great things that are going to go on at Memphis International Airport. I will warn you that once we start construction in the ticketing and baggage areas, there will be some disruption, some weird ways to ingress and egress, but it will be worth it in the long run. And I think the future has never been brighter for Memphis International Airport.
I agree. It is absolutely beautiful. And it is one of those that after seeing the renderings and everything, and you see it and it's like, oh, this is gonna be amazing. But then to see it firsthand, it does. It shows you that anything is possible. And, we deserve the best and we get the best here in Memphis. So it's awesome. Talk about the website. Where do we go to learn more? And yes, Lee, we've been recording all of this. We will push out a thank you for attending email. So it'll have the video that everybody can share. It'll have all the Q&A that we're doing right now. So we will send out a thank you for attending email after this. And Scott, wrap up though with the website. Where do we go to learn more? You have all the flights there as well. So even the things you can't find on the aggregators.
FlyMemphis.com. You can not only get information about the concourse, you can get mapping, you can look for flight planning destinations, you can track your loved ones coming into town. It is a one-stop shop. And I will tell you that, if you haven't tried our mobile app, try the mobile app. There's a mapping feature that is phenomenal. Will guide you all the way to the restaurant of your choice. Although with the lines of sight, that's not as challenging as it used to be. But FlyMemphis.com, your one stop for everything you need about the airport and about air travel. So please use it and fly often.
There you go. Well, Scott, Glenn, thank you. Allison, I know she's been off the screen, but she's got some Mem socks. So be the model and show off your Mem socks as we wave goodbye to everybody, Allison. So there you go.
All right, Allison.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Scott and Glenn. Thank you for joining us. We'll send out the recap email later on, but we appreciate you. And as Scott said, fly often. So we'll see you at Memphis International Airport. Bye, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, your week, and weekend ahead.